Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path. We're heading into the Grampians to explore some of the Grampians. I've spent a lot of time here over the years. I grew up not far from here. So starting this video, we're coming in from the north on the bitumen through the main township. We come down here and we make a turn onto one of the main tourist roads, which is Mackey's Peak Road. We make our way up past here, past the Elephant's Hide. Which I think you can still climb. I haven't done that for a lot of years. I think last time I climbed the Elephant's Hide was back in the 90s. Heading down past here, past the turn off to Wonderland. Wonderland Road takes you to the Wonderland car park, which is the one of the shorter distances for walking up to the pinnacle down here. These black lines are hiking tracks. One of the main tourist attractions. There is actually a shorter way, but anyway, that's not what we're here for. Continuing on, working our way around the range, following on Mackey's Peak Road before turning off onto Glenelg River Road, which gets us over to the western side of the Grampians, the much less touristy side. Reed's Lookout in the balconies just up there, well worth checking out if you're doing the tourist thing in the Grampians, by the by. So follow Glenelg River Road down to the Borryang campground, headed through there. Quite a nice campground, as you'll see, and then follow Phillip Island Track up around past this range, and before coming on to Lodge Road, passing the Forest Lodge campground. Now, despite the name, there is actually no lodge there. And then we get onto the Siphon Road to head up here. The plan was to do Launders Track, so spoiler alert, we don't actually do Launders Track. So then we followed this Hines Track here, back out to Lodge Road, past the Victoria Valley Airfield, and headed south here to Matthew Track, which is one that I've never done before. Now let's just change the zoom here slightly. We'll zoom out a little bit. So just to the south here, you can see the goat track. I've done that several times, but there's probably 2 videos on the channel about the goat track. That's a cracking little drive through the range, pretty easy. Probably 12 months ago is the most recent one I've uploaded for that. We're coming the other way. Anyway, Matthew Track, never done it before. Great views along here of the northern part of the Victoria Range. Ducked around the left-hand side onto Red Rock Road, western side of the range, Bullywing Road out to the Henty Highway. So, guys, that's the video for today. Very much a touring video, not so much a forward driving video. No low range, didn't even let the air out of the tyre. But look, without any further ado, let's get into it. So here we are, guys, heading into the northern entry of Hall's Gap in the Grampians. And as I said in the intro, it's very much a touring video. I was swinging through the Grampians today, particularly to go and do Launders Track, which has been suggested to be the most difficult track in the Grampians. There's not a lot of difficult forward driving to be had in the Grampians. Turning right here onto the Mount Victory Road. The main Halls Gap campground is just a little bit further along the main road. They're at the foothills of the Pinnacle Lookout, which is Mackey's Peak. So heading up the Mount Victory Road here, on the left hand side there, just behind those trees, is the Elephant's Hide, largely exposed rock. I believe you can still climb the Elephant's Hide. There's been a lot of changes on areas where you can and can't climb in the Grampians these days due to cultural heritage, but I think you can still climb there. Used to do that when I was a kid. Last time I did that was in the 90s. Certainly not fit enough to tackle it these days, but you never know, maybe one day. The other feature along that range there is the Pinnacles Lookout, which is accessed from a few different starting points. You can actually start from the campground back in town, which we used to do back in the day. There's a few little pull-off areas along here on the Mount Victory Road where you can pull off and take photos and look at the Elephant's Hide. This intersection here, the left-hand road there is a dead-end road. It takes you down to the Wonderland car park. So we're continuing on Mount Victory Road. That's Wonderland Road. Wonderland car park is probably the most common starting point for people who are doing the Pinnacle Walk. It takes you up through the Grand Canyon and a few other places like that. It's quite scenic, and it's the medium length walk. The longest walk is starting from the campground in town, and the shortest is actually starting from the Sundial car park, but you do miss out on the Grand Canyon, which is quite a nice rock feature on the way through. For us today though, we're continuing up the Mount Victory Road here, working our way through the Grampians to get across to the western side of the Grampians. So just pulled off here to check my navigation, make sure I know where I'm going. This road that we pulled off there, that's the turn off to the Silverband Falls and the Sundial car park. The second part of that road is actually one way, so you can go through to Silverband Falls, but then you'd have to go back through town and all the way around to get back to where you started from here. So anyway, it's only a short run on the Mount Victory Road before we get to Glenelg River Road. So it is off-road in that it's a gravel road, but it's very much a two-wheel drive gravel road. If I was still driving the Padge, I'd probably have it in all-wheel drive without the centre diff locked, because there has been a few spots of rain around, and this road can get slippery when wet, and they do sometimes seasonally close it, as you can see there from those gates. It's a short run down here. We're travelling about 12 kilometres on this road. The first part of it works its way down the side of this range, getting to the floodplain at the bottom. So unfortunately I did have something on the lens which I didn't realise. So this is Flat Rock crossing Valley Creek. There is a little camping area just on the right here. The GoPro pointing forward doesn't really show you the access, but there is a small camping area tucked away in behind there. And from here, just continuing on this, keep an eye out for the emu as I said there. Hopefully you saw it. I think that was just a baby. Now coming through here, and I have cut a lot of these out because they are essentially two-wheel drive tracks, so I don't really need to show you the whole thing. You can see this is chewed up just a little bit. So we're turning right here onto the Phillip Island track and driving through the Borryang campground. So this is one of the main campgrounds on this side of the Grampians. This side is much less touristy than the other side where Halls Gap is. Campgrounds here offer both tent-only camping, which on the left-hand side there you can see that's all sort of fenced off. So that's the tent camping area, and then up here a little bit further there's an area where you can camp with camper trailers and vans and that sort of thing. Just in there on the right-hand side is the spot for that. There's a long drop toilet as well. So all the amenities that you sort of need. There's a few campgrounds like that on this side of the Grampians, and they serve as a good base if you want to spend some time here and explore. There's obviously lots to see tourist-wise in the Grampians, lots of walks to do. They're not all particularly long walks either. Now I just came this way today because this is a track I'd never driven on. Could have taken the Mayor track or continued on the main road, but just sort of wanted to do this little detour on the Phillip Island track and through the Borryang campground because I've never come through this way before. A lot of natural bush through here. Track's in quite good nick, as you can see, and I did miss the last section of that. My GoPro ran out of battery, so we've actually reached the end of Rose Creek Road. I just pulled up for navigation there and we've turned right onto Lodge Road. There is another campground
hey there,
down
everyone.
here.
So in the Grampians, on my way to find Launders Track, which is apparently the most difficult track in the Grampians. Seemed like a good idea to have a crack at that today. There we are, just changing hands and holding GoPros and changing gears and what have you. Thing is, rain's kind of settled in. So, look, the last video I watched on this track, a couple of guys had to winch it. I'm solo today in the 76, and I was hoping to get up it without winching, but even just driving on this gravel road, it's pretty slippery. It really is. You know, the car's moving a fair bit even on this. Now I haven't aired down yet, so I mean, look, that's something, but yeah, we might have a look, but today might not be our day for this one. We'll have to see.
So yeah, just working our way along Lodge Road here. As I said, there was a campground on the right back there. Despite being called Forest Lodge Campground, there was no lodge there. Maybe there was once upon a time, but yeah, we've just turned right here onto the siphon track, which is only a few kilometres long to take us up to the start of Launders Track. It's probably the closest to an actual four-wheel drive track we've been on. A little bit of water around, which is surprising. There hasn't been that much rain. There's a little bit of light rain today, but certainly holding a bit of water there in those ruts, that's for sure. Launders Track is, from what I can tell, a fairly short track. It's probably only 3 or 4 kilometres long, but I believe it's a fairly steep, rocky climb up the side of the ridge, which would have been awesome to have a crack at. That was the Hines track on the right hand side there, just joining on to Siphon Road. And just as we come up around this bend, the start, or the southern end of Launders Track is just up here on the right hand side. A little bit unremarkable, but just there on the right hand side is the southern end of Launders Track, and as you'll see, there is a gate across it, also a bypass track.
So here we are at the start of Launders Track, and it very definitely looks seasonally closed to me. Now the thing is, when you look at the sign on here from Parks, it's the typical seasonal closure sign. So closed from Thursday after the Queen's birthday weekend, June, until the Thursday before the Melbourne Cup public holiday. So it should be open. But it's definitely padlocked that end. This isn't, I don't know if this is even a gate, this just might be a bar that they put in place. So like, that's still up obviously, but then this bypass looks like it's been here a fair while as well. Now like, I would have thought if this bypass was illegal that they would have yeah, it definitely doesn't look like it's been driven in a while, the way those bushes are grown over it. So I would have thought if this bypass was illegal, Parks would have put some big rocks there and blocked it or something. But yeah, look guys, the long and the short of it is, I don't want to do the wrong thing. I'd love to have a crack at this today. I might see in the next few days, because I'll be in the area visiting my mum. In the next few days I might see if I can get hold of the parks and get some info, see whether this is closed or open. But yeah, I don't want to be one of those guys that does the wrong thing and then post it on YouTube for everybody to see. Yeah, I'm thinking this is meant to be seasonally closed, and maybe they've extended it due to conditions further up on the track or something. So it's alright, we'll push on down there and see what comes.
So yeah, as you saw on the screen there, guys, I did actually get onto the Parks office there in Halls Gap over the next few days. They did confirm that Launders Track was closed on purpose and that the bypass was illegal, and it is meant to be closed due to track damage further up the track. So I didn't have heaps of time. I was actually, as I said, on the way to visit my mum, so I followed this track out of here. So I don't think there was a name on this track. No, it might just be the other end of Siphon Road or something, possibly. It takes us back to Lodge Road anyway. So turn left on Lodge Road to head back to the start of where we turned onto Siphon Road. But in this case, we'll be turning right to head south towards the Victoria Range, which is the westernmost range that makes up the Grampians. I have done a video on the goat track which goes through the Victoria Range. It's a great little drive, I definitely recommend it. That's about 12 months ago, so if you search for Grampians on my channel you'll be able to find that video. It's not an overly difficult track, but it is definitely a four-wheel drive track, unlike what we're driving today. So, yeah, as you can see on the screen there, we're just driving past the Victoria Valley Airfield here in a floodplain, which is an odd place for an airfield, but possibly back in the day when they put it there, they didn't realise it was a floodplain. And we're still continuing on Siphon Road. That was Mare Track there on the left joining. I've come through that way from Glenelg River Road many times, and normally I'd continue down here, cross over the stream down here a little bit further, and then continue on Siphon Road to the start of the goat track and take that sort of scenic drive through the range. Today I decided to go a little bit different way. It's always nice to explore parts of areas that you've been to before. When you've been to an area before, it's always nice to explore new parts of the area where you haven't been to previously, is what I'm trying to say. So that's the Victoria Range up ahead, and we're going to be coming up here and turning right. So you can see I'll be starting to slow down in just a minute because I'm actually looking for a track on the right hand side. I thought that might have been it. It's just a swale to push some water off the track, but I can see on the HEMA navigator that the track's coming up, so that's why I've slowed down, and we're turning right here onto a track that's called Matthew Track. Not sure how it got its name. It starts off as a fairly sandy track here, as you can see, and again doesn't look like one that gets a lot of traffic. It is seasonally closed from time to time, as you can see there from the gates.
Okay, so this one's a winner. We've just crossed the Glenelg River on the Glenelg River Road, I think it is, through the Grampians, and now we're heading northwest on this track that sort of parallels the river, and it's got the ranges just there that you might be able to see out the window, maybe not through the trees, maybe just up, yeah, just up through there. So anyway, I've never been down here. This track is seasonally closed as well, but the gate on this one was open, which makes me think even more and more Launders Track was closed on purpose. But I will chase that up with the Parks office and just confirm that. This doesn't actually look like it's been driven a whole lot, to be honest, either. Long grass either side. But yeah, we're going to take this for a run down along here and see where it goes. I think I can pop out the other side of the range somewhere and and then on the Midland, no, it won't be the Midland Highway, but whatever the highway is over there anyway. I think either way, it's only early. What is it, 3 o'clock? So it's not like this is even the 4 o'clock track. So let's see what happens.
So as you heard there, yeah, heading northwest on this track, paralleling the Victoria Range. There's some quite nice views off to the left, which obviously with the GoPro mounted straight ahead, you're not quite capturing through the trees. But if you find yourself in this part of the Grampians, it's certainly a nice little track to take for a drive and enjoy the view of a part of the range that most people who go to the Grampians probably aren't going to get to see.
Pulled up here on this track, cracking view of the ranges along here, right from the track. Very cool seeing yet another part of the Grampians. All right, let's push on.
So yeah, keep in mind too that the camera always makes things look further away than what they are. The ranges certainly felt a lot closer than that when you're sitting in the car looking at them. And the reality is you're only a couple of 100 metres from them. There is a management vehicle track, I believe, that runs along the base there, but that's not something that we would have access to. So for most of us, this is about as close as you're going to get to that northern tip of the Victoria Range and viewing some of those escarpments there. Track here was generally in good condition. There's a few puddles sitting around. It is a floodplain after all, so I can see why they would seasonally close it, because there hadn't been a lot of rain and there was still some wet puddles in sections here and there. I can only imagine what that would be like if there had actually been significant rain or any flooding of the nearby creek. You can just catch some glimpses there of the northern end of the range. I was enjoying those the whole way along, and this section of track was a nice little treat. There's a section here that says heads directly southwest. You're driving straight at the range, so you guys are getting to see a little taste of what I've been able to see all the way along this track. A lot of rock formations, just a really cool part of the Grampians that not many people would actually get to see. Very different to the more popular parts of the Grampians, I think, the more touristy parts anyway. So this is the kind of stuff I just really enjoy getting out and seeing. As I said, I've been coming to the Grampians for probably 30 years, and this is a part of the Grampians I just had never seen before. So just making our way on the last section of this track, heading northwest. It's a fairly easy run now. There is a section through here, which I think we're coming up to now, that gets a little bit almost potholey. You can see there's a few bog holes there on the right hand side where people have gotten off the track. A few of these little potholes here. Certainly gave the suspension a little bit of a test out, because I wasn't really expecting these based on the condition of the track to date. You can see some of those. I probably hit them a little faster than I really should have, and consequently have slowed up a little bit in lieu of that. And those clouds off to the northwest certainly gave you the impression that there's more rain on the way. Again, you can see through here the amount of water just sitting in some of these puddles. Gave that one a little bit of a wide berth. I thought that looked like it could be fairly deep. And again, some of those are sharp, deep little potholes that I'll probably hit a little faster than I really should have. Not too long though, and we're getting close to the end of this track now. Looks like an old track through there that's overgrown. You can see the gate at this northern end. Possibly that could have been some sort of bypass that somebody pushed through. And as we come out the end here, we're coming back onto Rock Road, which actually joins up with Lodge Road. So we could actually have turned right and headed back around almost towards Launders Track where we were earlier. A lot of these sort of link up. Yeah, so now we're heading south on Rock Road on the western side of the northern end of the Victoria Range, which is the westernmost part of the Grampians. Some nice views along here as well. You can see the rock face there to the left. Not quite as easy to see along here as it was along the other section, and this is pretty much a proper road through here, so we're making pretty good time on our way out. The road does change a little on the way through. Fairly large farming properties through here. It's coming down here to the end of Red Rock Road and turning right onto Bullywing Road, which is just another couple of kilometres out to the Henty Highway, where I can continue on and head south. So not a lot of forward driving in this one, guys. Hope you found it at least a little bit interesting. I certainly enjoy getting out there. Look, I love the forward driving stuff and having a crack at tough tracks, but it's also nice just to explore new parts of areas and tracks you haven't been down before. So if you've watched this one through to the end, guys, thanks for watching. I encourage you, if you watched a few of our videos, please click the like button and think about subscribing. I will see you in the next video. Thanks again.